all you Rebel Roots out there. Thank you for listening to our podcast. This week I did a crossover talk with my great friend Aniston, and we are going to share why we put together the Rooted Woman. So can't wait to share it with you. Jamie, hit that play button.
Welcome back to the Aniston Rickstein Show. I am so excited that you're here. We have an incredibly special guest, a dear friend of mine, but also a woman that I greatly look up to, an expander for me, and someone who really shows me what it looks like to be a woman who's in her power, who is not afraid of executing on her inspirations and her dreams, and who inspires so many other women to do the same. So, Yvonne, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on here. I love that we're getting this together and our schedules are so busy, but I love that we make time for each other. So thank you.
We always make time for each other. My favorite is when Yvonne and I will meet as the women with the full schedules that we are for bright and early, like sunrise coffee on the beach. And we just sit there with our toes in the sand and we talk about life and we talk about business and we talk about love and we talk about our bodies. We pretty much talk about everything. There's really nothing we don't talk about.
Super productive in 90 minutes that we are out there.
It's like a therapy session slash like goal setting. That's what I feel like.
Creation. We do a lot of creating.
We
Lots of
do. We do. We get downloads for each other, like, oh, you should try this or you should do that. And it was actually, I feel like, one of those mornings where the Rooted Woman inspiration came from.
I honestly think it was our first coffee date on the beach. So something about beach, sand, sun, and
It's a winning combination for us.
everything rolling. And
Well, I am excited to introduce you to these amazing women who tune in and the women that I get to work with every day as clients and friends and acquaintances, and even those that I haven't met yet. Because I've been speaking about you quite a lot as I talk about the Rude Woman, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm co hosting with this woman who is just an absolute badass and who isn't in the traditional coaching space, but someone who has really made a name for yourself in an industry. And so I'd love for you just to give a little background on yourself for this audience and what your journey has been to really reclaiming your purpose, your mission, your power.
it started, I think, I always get the dates mixed up at 2010. And I was diagnosed with melanoma back then. And I was an x-ray tech. And I don't want to say I hated my life, but I just, when you have that calling and you know that there's something else that you're supposed to be doing, and you're just doing the day to day, checking the boxes. And the universe gives you the signs, and melanoma was my sign. And I acted a lot on it. And I was running a little meal plan company out of my kitchen at that time for my personal training clients, and I loved it. And I took a leap of faith. I had that aha moment that didn't want to be stuck in a X-ray department where I didn't like the people that I was surrounded with. That you spend 80 hours, or not 80 hours, but 40 hours a week, 8 hours a day. So why surround your people like around people that don't make you thrive, don't support you? It's just life is too short. And I think the melanoma told me that. And so I quit my job. I moved to North Carolina for beach, sand, sun, and opened up this little cafe called Clean Eats on Racine Drive. Everyone thought I was crazy. I think my mom disowned me for at least maybe 2 years. I gave up my x-ray license. But you know what? I was never scared about it. I just knew that in my gut, this was the right path for me. And so many people, they take that leap of faith and they always have a plan B. You're always looking for plan A to fail and gonna execute plan B. So you never even give a chance to your idea or to your inspiration. And that's just not me. When I put my head to something and I want to do something, there is no negotiations. It's going to work. So that little cafe that we started in 2013 now is over 120 locations. We do international shipping. We have 4 distribution centers. We're in grocery stores. We're in on QVC, which some people don't know what the QVC is anymore. But yeah, I think that so many times that we are so scared of the risk and we never listen to our gut and you never take that first step. And man, every woman that I meet and they're telling me about these things. I mean, even like with you, I'm just like, do it.
Just
What
do
are you
it.
what are you gonna do? And but I am that personality that I'm jumping from the plane and thank goodness that Don, my spouse behind me, is like carrying my parachute with me. Because I don't even think about the parachute. How am I gonna land? I just know that feels right, and I just leap. And some people can't do that, and I
Yeah.
think some people find that, I guess, reckless, but I find it exhilarating.
Well, I there's so much to unpack with that story because I feel like you really hit on some major themes that we as women, and I would say men too, but especially as women, where we just have these stories that we carry, but also stories that we've absorbed, that we listen to the opinions of those outside of us and how they see our lives going, how they feel we will best succeed. And we put more weight on those voices than the inner voice. But that wasn't the first time you took a leap. Like you've taken some big leaps in your life that you would label yourself has, created you as being like the black sheep of the family. So I have a feeling that it was those early leaps for you that created that foundation of like, hey, the sky didn't fall. Like everything was fine. And the more you do it, right, the more you realize it all works out. So why don't you take us back to some of those initial leaps? And I know as it relates to
Oh,
your first marriage and all of that.
yeah. I think my parents grew up Catholic, and it's kind of cool. I'm going to become a grandparent, and I had my girls on a podcast here recently. And I'm not saying that they resented me at all, but they kind of like brought up that I baptized them at such an early age, which I had no clue. I mean, they're like 28 and 24. And to just hear that some of my decisions that, I thought that was correct at the time or forced or was led to believe that now they kind of question my theory on that. So that kind of leads me to, I think, what maybe changed me at a young age. But I was raised Catholic. I had to go to catechism every Wednesday, and that was just kind of like an after school religious teaching, I guess, for those not in the Catholic religion. And I was so close. My mom, like her entire moment that you've succeeded was being confirmed in the Catholic Church. And I was like 2 weeks out from that. And I just remembered that we had to do some sort of stand, and there was an abortion walk that weekend. And we were all required to walk in this abortion for the rights, our what Catholic beliefs thought. And I was like, no, I don't believe this. And my mom begged, and the nun called my mom. And, she is just like, she's not going to be confirmed. She's not going, we're going to really kick her out of catechism. And my mom's like, she begged, she pleaded. And I was like, I can't do it. I can morally not do it. It does not feel right. And man, I was only probably 12 at that time.
Wow.
And that when I look back at being like I always say a rebel, that was probably the first time that I stood up for myself and didn't let someone else's beliefs or opinions or I guess uh, you know judgment on me because I still am not confirmed. But my
Mhm.
mom, like I was just like at that point I think I kind of lost respect for my mother at that point because I wasn't confirmed and that was like a big thing to her. And then the second I think, and again, Catholic Church on this, even though I was not practiced Catholic like at that time, I kind of had like done my own thing, but I still got married in Catholic church, married my high school sweetheart. Who, like, those of you guys out who have married your high school sweetheart and you are still the same person that you were in senior high school, like, congrats maybe to you, or, but I, from the what who I was as a senior and who I was 10 years later was just not the same person. You don't I just didn't know who myself was, and so I'm married to a husband, I have my 2 wonderful daughters, and I am not happy, but I know if I leave, I'm gonna be judged again. Like, no one in our family had been divorced, and at one I just remember I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care. Happiness to me and being fulfilled and living my life and living my dreams means a lot more than what somebody is going to say something about me on this day. They're going to forget, right? And so I end up getting divorced from my husband. So that was the second one that I felt like I stood up for myself and I believed in myself and I chose the path that was with resistance, but turned out that I met a wonderful man who now we're like, I met my soulmate, you know? And so if I wouldn't have done that and I would have listened to people's judgments, I would have never done that. And then, so that really caused me to be the black sheep. So those were like two. And then I guess the third one was quitting a steady job to go do a business idea. Like 2009, or I guess it was 2008. No one meal prepped. There was no meal prep company. You cooked for your family. You were in that status quo white picket fence marriage where the woman cooked, and provided and all this. And man, I just thought that there was easier things. I thought women needed to be released of their duties, but still not have the guilt. And so I created these meal plans for a group of women that was working out. They were choosing their health over being this, I guess, the June Cleaver at the time model. And that turned into a multi-million dollar company. But
Yeah.
boy, did I catch the heat on that. You're leaving a 401k, you're leaving a 9 to 5 steady income, you're leaving insurance. Like, what? Yeah, college education. I would
Yeah.
love to take a poll of your women to see like who went to college and they're not doing anything that those 4 years gave you.
Oh, so many.
Right?
I'm actually one of the few, interestingly enough, and I think it was just a happy accident, or maybe I think I've just always been pretty attuned to my intuition, and I majored in advertising public relations, and actually a lot of what I learned, and I minored in speech communication, but that was to get over a fear of public speaking. I did that completely selfishly. I had no dreams or desires to ever stand on a stage or hold a microphone or to even speak to a boardroom. Like that to me I was petrified about. But I knew that I kept on being guided into these roles. Like what really lit me up was going to require me to have some public speaking skills. And so I was like, I could either just avoid this the rest of my life and get into a field that doesn't require it, that I hate, or I can experience a little bit of pain right now and
Sounds
getting
good.
over it. Which you're actually doing. I mean, again, another reason why I love you and I love Dawn so much is that and this just really speaks into who you guys are. When we first met, you were saying, we really decided on one of our goals. I don't even know if it was one of your New Year's goals or one of your goals was like, we want to be able to inspire more people and we want to feel confident in doing so. So we are going to join Toastmasters. But they didn't just join Toastmasters, they literally host it at their office. They are complete facilitators of it for like the Wilmington branch and this is something that you've committed to doing and you show up every week and you're not just facilitating it, you're getting up there and you're creating these speeches amongst running a huge company and all of your other businesses that you have going on, and you just really demonstrate that your plate gets to grow and expand with you, and that when you feel pulled to do something there's probably a reason for it, right? And you're just
I
trusting
agree.
that you don't know what this is leading to.
Have no idea. Yeah. If I take myself on a have a couple times, and do it, maybe public speaking, and but yeah, if you have told me a year ago that this is where I'm gonna go, or no, I really like that way you're way off course, and I've said that multiple times, like, "You're way off," and here I am. I mean, just
You are.
like, I grew up on a farm, and I know you find this funny, but I grew up on a farm. I hated every day of being on the farm. I mean, like, up until I probably liked it up until, like, 12 or 13, until I started boys, cars, freedom, that type of thing, and I'm like, "I'm out." And here I am on a farm again
Back
and
on the
love
farm.
it, and love it. Like, now this farm is my freedom, and I'm like, "Why did I spend so many years resisting this when" but again, you have to be in that chapter of your life, that outcome to get pulled to what you love again, correct?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I feel like the rooted woman's kinda like that, like, we all go back to our roots somehow, some way.
Well, it's kind of like I always think of it this way that in our early stages in our early life, we are and I mean the first couple of years, right? Before we start being told who we are or what is okay and what is not okay and us being able to formulate an identity based on that. But in the very beginning, we are kind of our most authentic essence. And you see it with little kids, they're present. They're not thinking about was okay. They're just like dog, ball, bird. Like they want to have fun. They want adventure. They want to be outside. They want doing art, whatever they're naturally drawn to. And then we start creating things that are probably not aligned with who we actually are because we've lost sight of that. We're not connected to that anymore. And then at some point in our life, we realize things start making our way bit by bit back to our roots, as you said, like back to who we are when we are most rooted in our authentic self. And so, my question to you is this, like on your journey of coming back to, your most authentic expression of Yvonne, what has been the most challenging part for you? Like, what has been the thing that has been the pattern or the obstacle that you kind of keep coming up against that you've had to deal with?
I think my fulfillment, if
Okay.
being honest, I think I'm so many of us are goal setters, and that's great. And I think my turning point was here recently. It was like actually a year ago. And my biggest goal, cleanings, needs to be 100 units, 100 units. Only 5% of franchises get to that 100th unit. And so I'm like, I am proving to the world that we are successful, that I'm going to get to that 100th unit. And I'm sitting in the 100th unit right now, and I thought that when I walked through these doors that this huge light was going to go off and that this overwhelming feeling was going to come in there. And I walked in and I was like, where is it? Where is this? I've been like planning this for 4 years. Like, where is this feeling at? And I had nothing. And I
Yeah.
almost felt a little bit emptier at that point
Mhm.
because I didn't have a goal after that. I didn't have the next thing. And it took me probably like 6 months to like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not saying I wasn't happy. I'm happy. But what brings me the fulfillment? And I know that you and Rudy like talk about this with, successful entrepreneurs that you get this and then lo and behold, they are committing suicide because of this lack
Emptiness.
of
Mhm.
emptiness that you
Mhm.
feel. And someone, I don't even know if I read a post or someone said something to me and they told me, they're like, you have happiness every day. You have fulfillment every day. And I'm expecting this great big finish line, right?
Yeah.
But it's really not. It is little things that you have to fill your cup every day. And
Mhm.
morning coffee, looking at the beach in the morning, a my favorite song comes on the radio driving to work. Someone gives me like a successful story today. Maybe a customer reaches out, but every day I don't try, I do. I find 10 things. And most people was like, that's what you're basing your success today of? And I'm like, hell yeah, I am. Like those 10 things filled me up. And you know what? I'm excited about tomorrow. So I think I answered your question on that.
No, you did. I think that that is such a common it's a common thing that most high performers experience, right? Because our minds and our ego will absolutely unequivocally that is the illusion, right? It's like just if you once you get there, that's when you it's like the carrot. You'll feel the fulfillment, right? Once you get there, you're going to feel like you've arrived. But you get there and you don't feel like you've arrived. If anything, I kind of feel like it amplifies what's already within you, right? So if you were unhappy on the journey there, you're going to feel even more unhappy, right? It's going to, or I see this a lot with people who have a lot of money or they all of a sudden get a lot of money and they thought having the money was going to mean they never had to worry again, never had to feel that lack again. They get the money, but then the fear sets in. It's like it amplifies the lack. It doesn't take it away. It actually makes it worse because now you have something to lose. And now what if it all goes away? And now, you know what I mean? And
And
so
it
the
shows up
what
with a check, the bill. You get
the
the bill.
bills. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh my like, oh my god, and you expand your life, and then but that lack doesn't go away, and it's because it's rooted it's within you, right? It's not something outside of you, and so what you're saying is that you realize you had to create your fulfillment. It wasn't this achievement that was gonna give it to you. And just by shifting your focus and creating some habits that would support you and giving you that really cool dopamine hit every day of like, I made some progress today. Like I read this book and I learned this, and Don and I met for coffee and we went on a walk on the beach or whatever that is. That's life. Like life is happening now, not when you reach that goal in 6, 12 months. Like the quality of your life is created in every day. It's not created at the goalpost, right? Your goalpost experience is going to be reflective of your journey to get there. And
Correct.
so I think you said it beautifully. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's all the little things that add up that make the big heart, the big fulfillment.
Yeah, and I think that it's such a good lesson for anyone listening and really thinking about what is that story you're telling yourself right now about when I get there, I will feel this way. When I achieve this, or when my bank account reflects this number. Because we're here to tell you it's an illusion
It's an
and you're
illusion.
going to be disappointed. And you don't have to be. If you can really start to reconnect with and realize that happiness is a choice, it's created within. Fulfillment, also a choice, created within. And then once you do that, when you meet with success, you'll actually feel fulfilled. So I want to talk about the farm because you already brought up the farm. And this, I mean, so tell the story of how this all started, right? Because it didn't, when you first, and because I want to demonstrate how a seed of an idea can take plant, but the form that it's going to expand into often is a surprise, right? So let's talk about the farm, V and V.
V&V. It started with 60 acres,
Okay.
and Don and I were on a search. We wanted a little getaway. We wanted some place in the middle of nowhere where no
Yep.
internet, no TV, unplugged. And that's what we call our little cabin was the unplugged. We spent 5 years out there. No, we just got internet because now we're kind of like staying out there a little bit longer and we can't function very well now.
So I
But
want to just pause here and just reiterate, just to make sure you don't miss this. They would go and spend every weekend out at this cabin with no internet. What
yep.
was that like? I love it.
You know what? You find things to do. You play cards. We built fires. We went on walks. We looked for deer antlers. Like it is crazy. We did other things too that we're really happy too. But now
Yeah.
we know why all those pioneers had so many kids, because there wasn't to do after 7 o'clock. But who's played Monopoly? Like we played Monopoly, like
Yeah.
just crazy things. And we were there probably three years, and we had our neighbor reached out to us, and he had property right next to us. We've always heard these rumors, right? He was sovereign citizen. He didn't like the government. No one has ever been back to his property. Like it was like a mystery back there. And then this guy comes up to us, and he was like, "Can I'm your neighbor, and I got a proposition for you." And I was like, "All right." And he's like, I'm selling 200 acres back here. It joined up to our 60 acres. He's like, "Would you be interested in it?" And so Don and I went on a tour. The tour lasted 4 hours, Aniston, and you g gave you the tour too, remember? The first time
Yes.
you came out, like, "Hop on this side by side and, like, let's go drive the woods," and it was just so amazing. We came back, man, we really wanted it, right? And this is how the universe works, but we were building our corporate office at that time, so we had just went into debt and bought a corporate building, and it just was not the right time, and so we went back to him, we're like, "We love this. We just don't think that we can take on this much debt at this time." It wasn't 6 months later, he reached back out, him and his wife come to our cabin, and they're like, "We will owner finance this for you. We want you guys to have it. We feel comfortable in having it." And we're like, "Are you sure?" And they said yes. And so that's how we got the farm. And everyone thinks,
Wow.
it was just, we didn't want to go in that much debt. And he wanted us. Now, later we found out that he had prostate cancer. So he knew, and he wanted this to be like his property, which is gorgeous. It had 4 homes on it, a baseball field, a barn, stables, riding rink, like anything you could think of, this man had put it on there, outdoor pavilion. And at the time, before we had even met this man, I wanted to buy the Blockade Runner, and that was like a beach resort on Wrightsville Beach, and I wanted to turn that into a fitness resort.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things I had on my vision board, didn't know how I was gonna pay for that, but like you guys, it will happen. When it's ready, it's
Yeah.
going to happen. And when we saw this property and then I'm like, "This is the retreat. I'm not supposed to do this on the beach. I'm supposed to do this here." And I was like, "Man," at that point it hit me. I'm like, "I'm back in my roots again." Like,
Yeah.
you know, funny how that turns around, and so that's what we did. He owner financed for us, and he just passed, this May, and we've been on that property. This November will be 3 years, but it's such a cool property, and we just did our first wedding 2 weeks ago. We built a huge greenhouse, glass greenhouse, which was my vision because I just love light and sun, and it just and what else on your special day that you get to experience that in, just I don't know, it just was I cried. I don't cry, but
I know.
that bride walked down and we opened those doors and that bride walked in and I just bawled. It was like,
Yeah.
who am I? I think my estrogen was too high that day.
Turns out you have feelings too. You have feelings too, Yvonne. Oh my gosh. I love that story so much. And, being on that property, it's really special. Like it really is. So Rudy and I, we went out just to hang out and see the property. This was, I guess, last year at some point. And I remember when we were out there, I kept looking around at all the different spaces. So Rudy and I, like, one of our absolute favorite things is planning like personal development conferences. We did it a lot in the corporate space together. I did it for the company I used to work for. And that was always the thing I loved doing the most. I mean, if I could do that all the time, that's what I wanted to do. I just love taking people, creating journeys, taking people on a journey. But I've always known like the space, like where it's at is so important. Like it really is because land holds energy, but also just like how it feels, the flow, it's got to be big enough. It's got to be, I've always thought like there's these things I wanted to be able to do and take people through these experiences, but you couldn't do that like sitting on a beach amongst thousands of other people, right? Or you couldn't do
Permits.
that, like you needed privacy, you needed an open, vast open spaces. So I kept looking around and I said to Rudy, I was like, this place would be perfect for a retreat. I mean, you've got a massive farmhouse, you've got space if you wanted to do tents or you wanted to, be outside because it's so nice. And then you've got other little structures and a pool and this and that. And I mean, it was all I could see was opportunity. And then, of course, you guys being you guys were already like, well, let's just start and invite friends. And Dawn hosts a men's retreat out there last year. And that really planted the seed of like, okay, this is something. This is something. And then something else that's really cool that I'll share, and my listeners know that I'm very much into numbers, and I always numbers for me, like I get a lot of signs and signals from numbers. I feel like it's because I pay attention, the universe is constantly like sending me like signs. And the number 369 for Rudy and I holds a really special significance. And it's come into our lives in really interesting times when it's been very like this is important. Pay attention. It's actually Rudy's life path is a 36-9. And it was his favorite numbers. So when you gave us your address the first time, because isn't it like
Yeah,
3369?
correct.
I looked at that and I was like, Rudy, did you see their address? And he was like, what is it? And I told him, he was like, interesting. You know what I mean? And so it's just this kind of crazy symbiotic situation. And I just think it's going to be such a beautiful space, but you're also using it for weddings and
Correct.
events and so, you know, the greenhouse that you just built is really special. So what do you feel like from a retreat perspective? Like what is your what is your desire, right? Like when you think about this retreat, because listen, it's not easy putting together a retreat. Like it's a lot of work to like think to really a lot of prep work and getting everything, you know, just right to create the space for women to come in for transformation. So what is your intention?
I just want to break through women. I think, I turned 50 this or last year. I'm going to be 51 this year. And it just makes you think a little bit and that next chapter. And I was right before I got in there, I was like, what's my message to this? And I want the breakthrough. I want the women to every like gosh, I feel like women get taken so much, right? We give to our spouse, we give to our job, we give to our kids, we give to all of these outside factors. And then we're left here like naked, right? And
Mhm.
no, I'm not saying no one comes and protects us, but you lose every time you give that out there and you don't fulfill that back, you lose a little bit part of you. And I think that so many women are just stripped down
Mhm.
to not knowing who they are, where they're going to go, what's like they just need to be filled back up. And gosh, even with social media, I could go on for you just tell me when stopping us, but like we we have comparitis. Like social media has caused that. Like we looked at somebody who has post on thing and we think that they're ahead of us. And I know that we're all supposed to support women, but you know that you're competitive, and not saying that you do any ill intent, but we compare ourselves. We're not where that person needs to be, or we're not where we need to be, but like so many of us forget this is where we're supposed to be. Maybe you need to take a few more steps to get a little bit further on this journey, but you got, like you're supposed to be here until you make those steps. And the I just feel like we get so bogged down with so many outside influences that we really lose who we are. And I think
Mhm.
me turning 50 has got me a little bit soft and I want to I don't want people to wait until they're my age. And even if they're past my age and they haven't found this yet, like I want to help, but man, if we could just give so much knowledge to just those 50 and under, and if I could just help you, but I don't know. I want to refuel. I want to build a fire because man, my
Yeah.
fire is burning right now. And I just want everyone else to feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, because unfortunately, there's a lot of women who've never felt that, you know?
Yeah.
And I know for me, I've been blessed with some significant relationships along my journey where people would see me in a way that I couldn't see me yet. And
That
they would reflect back at me like how powerful I was. They would reflect back to me how talented I was and that I was valued and that I mattered. And it was through spending time with them and in the proximity of women who legitimately wanted to see me succeed that I
Yep.
started to believe it. And I think sometimes we try to muscle this on our own. We sit in silence and solitude in private and we have this inner turmoil going on and we blame ourselves. We say, "Oh, we set this goal and then we didn't reach it. Oh, another reason for me to shame myself." Like or maybe we have physical goals we're not reaching, our work goals we're not reaching, and all that negative self-talk and that negative belief then forms this identity that's not even true. And you need a disrupt is what you need. And I think I realized early on that getting out of my normal environment, like retreating away from my life, gave me a fresh perspective. Like it was like I felt different. I felt different around these women who were like-minded, who also wanted to learn and who wanted to heal. And by being in their space, it almost made it easier for me to. And I also think, and been my experience so far with you, Yvonne, is that, every time I spend time with you, I feel like the masculine within me, because we both have feminine, we all of us have feminine and masculine energy, and we're meant to be balanced there, right? We're meant to be, healed in our feminine so that we allow ourselves to receive. We don't self-abandon, we don't burn out. We open ourselves to inspiration, but then we also need to be able to jump back into our masculine and execute and make shit happen, like, and
Yeah.
get out there and be bold and be seen and be heard and be visible. And for me, it was a lot of those masculine qualities that I had some wounding around. And being around you, just in your proximity, has activated me in that area where I leave feeling like, yeah, hell yeah, like I'm running at this, I'm going. And then I know just on our own conversations, like you being around me is sometimes like I bring out different sides of you. And this was
Yeah.
another one of our inspirations for doing this retreat, because we feel like so many women have this idea, this picture in their head of, number one, what it looks like to be a spiritual but also healed and successful woman. Like she either needs to be just like Anison or just like Yvonne, and it's like, no, you get to be you, but there needs to be a balance there. And so I just, I don't know, that's
I love
really
it.
my inspiration.
I just feel like you're the healer
Yeah,
and, you comfort and you console and you
you're
have
the conqueror.
such and I'm just gonna make you, like, get down and dirty, and because you can't be healed until, like,
Yeah,
you're raw, right? Or
yeah,
until you can
yeah,
face the truth or get the permission to stop pleasing others and like look at yourself because man, it's hard, and a lot of us put those shields up that we use our kids, our spouse, our work, our friends as a shield that we don't have to worry about ourselves, like it's all those, I don't want to say excuses, but I guess it's kind of excuses, but all those things. And everyone shields themselves sometimes because you don't want to take the deep dive into yourself because it scares you and it's
yeah,
vulnerable and it's not the easy path. But man, as soon as
yeah.
I push you over the line, like you got them, you're gonna pick them up. You're like, here you are, and
I have to bring you ladies in on a little of the behind the scenes planning of this retreat, because of course you've got me, who is very, I'm all about like the journey, and let's like go within and let's heal and let's feel and let's do these things. And then you've got Yvonne, and she's like rebel roots to her core, right? She's like, let's just shake it up. Let's, because you need both. And so we sit down, start talking through like the
are you
schedule of,
spilling tea? Are you spilling?
oh, no, no, no. We're not,
Guys,
no,
all
we're
right.
not telling you. Okay. I'm just telling you though, what was so funny, because Yvonne's like, I don't care what's on that schedule as long as there's no yoga. And what else did you say? Like, you're like, this cannot be a yoga retreat. She's like, this is not the vibe we're going for. And I was like, I'm totally with you. I'm with you on that. Like, no, there's plenty of those out there. There's
Yeah,
plenty of those, the wellness retreat where you're like just in zenned out the
yeah.
entire time, but that doesn't create the breakthrough.
I was just laughing because you designed the website, and on the first edit, I was like,
Yeah.
Aniston, I just think that there needs to be a little edge on there. I was like,
Let's
no
let's
yoga. I love all you yoga people, but like, man, there's this is something different. And
yeah, it
I'm
is.
fired up about it. And I mean, you're gonna sweat in ways like, in good ways,
in good ways.
because I don't wanna spill the tea, and
No.
once
It's
we do
gonna
this
be
first
fun
one,
too.
everyone's gonna do it. It's gonna be so much fun, but, oh, it's gonna be so powerful and releasing and
Our goal is like you walk out of there having experienced aspects of yourself that maybe you've never experienced or you've just repressed and squished out, like the wild woman in you who is loud and bold and isn't afraid to express her anger, or as well as the woman who is totally fine with crying on a strange woman's shoulder next to her. You know what I mean? Like that is totally fine being the truth teller and just sharing, like in a place where all the masks get to come off, all the masks, and we
no
remember
judgment.
together just how powerful, and I'm just going to say it again, like badass women are. Like we are so powerful. We are so incredibly gifted. And I think what's hard for Yvonne and I, because we've done the work to reconnect to that side of ourselves, that we get to live in the beingness of that every day. Not that it's perfect, we're still learning and growing, but that we get to experience that spark and that knowing that we have big lives to live and we're not apologizing for it. And we see it. We see these women that have these empty looks in their eyes, like this kind of like, well, this is my life. And then they just make the assumption that the next 10 years are going to be just like the last 10 years. And we're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like there's such a big life for you. And that's what we want you to see. That's what we want you to remember.
Because we're all so comfortable in the routine, right?
Yeah.
And no one likes change. So you gotta like stir some things up if you're gonna experience something new.
Yeah.
And I just see, I always call it the white picket fence theory. And it's just someone told someone that this was going to be the perfect life, and like I said, you get the 9 to 5, you get the spouse, you have the kids, you have the house, you get the dog, you and sometimes you see those moms walking around, and I'm just like, I want to go up and shake them and be like, this, there's more, there's so much more. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Like you get to be a mom and you get to love it, and you get to be a wife and you get to love it, and you get to do all of these things, but that doesn't have to be it.
no, there's
And especially if you're feeling the pull that there's more and you're just repressing it and ignoring it and saying, when the kids leave, when they're in college, I'll make a change. I'll write that book when this, when that. Well, I'll tell you, if you're living in the I'll do this when, you'll still be living in that when they leave because they'll just be another excuse. And so we are excited to really just pour into all the women who feel called to this, because you either will or you won't. And that's the truth. And what we want to urge you is, if you're listening to this and there's that part of you, that little part of you that is saying, "Oh my God, like I know I need this." Know that there will probably also be a voice that will tell you why you're not worthy of it, or why it doesn't, oh, you couldn't possibly take this time to yourself, or who's going to watch the kids, like there will always be those stories. And those same stories are going to keep you small next year and the year after that. So you have to ask yourself the question, like, does this get to be your time? Because we believe it does. And we really hope that we get to see you November 6th through 9th at V&V Farms. You get to see and stay on Yvonne and Don's magical property. It is magical. And have an experience that like none other that you have ever had. And we all get to do it together, which is going to be so cool. So thank you
yeah,
so much for joining us, Yvonne.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for doing this adventure with me because it's going to be amazing.
It will not be our last. I know it. This is gonna be a thing. And we know that you and Don will always be in our lives. And we are so grateful for you. And we're grateful to be able to collaborate with you in this really, really cool way. So for all of you listening, we love you. We see you. And we're going to link the retreat in the show notes. You can also find it on our Instagram. DM us with any questions that you might have. We're here to answer them. And I'll see you on next week's episode.
Wasn't that a great podcast? We will be on the normal set next week. Fly Girls are in the studio.